Coming up on Carolina News, the women's basketball team is 1 win away from the national championship. What fans are doing for tonight's big game.
USC students organized a protest on campus today. Why they're putting pressure on the school.
And a furry friend can help out with your spring cleaning. How a goat can clean up your lawn and the environment.
All that and more coming up on Carolina News.
From the University of South Carolina, your news, your sports, your weather. Carolina News begins now.
Hello and welcome to Carolina News. I'm Connor Lomas.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sloan O'Cone. The women's basketball team tips off their Final Four matchup against Stanford in less than 2 hours.
That's right, and with the Gamecocks 1 win away from returning to the national championship, fans are packing bars to watch the game. Our Chase Burley is live in 5 Points with what's going on. Chase, what you got?
Thanks, guys. I'm here in 5 Points where we're just an hour and a half away from tip-off. Fans are excited, and rightfully so. It's been a season unlike any other, and it's been a great season for Gamecock basketball. We have already seen lines forming at bars here in 5 Points, and excitement for the game is building.
It's win or go home, so this is not the time to, just squeeze by. We got to make sure that we're bringing up a point every single game because teams will punch back. We've seen it happen. This is March Madness.
March Madness that may just be a bit more mad than usual. Last year, players and fans didn't get to experience a basketball tournament due to coronavirus safety measures. So this year, Gamecock fans are more excited than ever.
I mean, it's Final Four, it's game day. You just get excited.
This is the pinnacle of our game. This is what we practice, what we sacrifice, what we cried for, what we work for.
Work that has definitely paid off. The team is 26-4 on the season and entered the tournament as a number 1 seed. And coming off a season in which they weren't allowed to compete for the title, this one means more for the community.
So I think people in Columbia who pour their heart and soul into the university, since there aren't really professional franchises that have the city's heart, like for the women's basketball team to actually be good, I think is a big part of that.
And so I'm pretty excited because no one expected us to get this far. Things are looking up. So just get excited, tune in, and go Cox.
Gamecocks will be taking on Stanford in the Final Four coming tonight at 6 p.m. You can watch the game on ESPN. Ward Jollis is going to have a full breakdown of the Final Four coming up for you later in the show. Live from 5 Points for Carolina News, I'm Chase Burley.
Well, if you're headed out to watch the game, make sure that you have a jacket because it's going to be another cold one.
Brianna Moody is outside in the Kennedy Greenhouse Garden to tell you more. Brianna, how cold is it out there?
Thank you. It's beautiful, sunny, and 0 clouds in the sky. But don't be fooled because there's a freeze warning until 9 a.m. tomorrow. But next week's going to feel a little different. We're looking at temperatures at the high 80s. And I'll tell you all about it later in the show. Back to you in the studio.
One Capitol police officer is dead and another is in the hospital after a driver rammed into a barricade near the building. The driver was shot and killed after exiting the car with his knife. The Capitol remains on lockdown. President Biden was moved from the White House to Camp David as authorities work through the threat.
COVID numbers are creeping back up in more than half the country, and we're starting that trend here in our state. For the 4th day in a row, COVID numbers have increased. Today, DHEC reported 683 new cases, which is a jump from yesterday's numbers. The same is true for hospitalizations in South Carolina's hospitals. Occupancy has been hanging in the mid to high 70s for the past week. This is a drop from what we saw during the winter surge, where more than a quarter of state hospitals had at least 90% of their beds in use. About 70% of ICU beds are being used across our state. And the vaccine rollout is still steady here in the Palmetto State. DHEC says more than 1.3 million residents have received their first shot. That's almost a third of our state. More than 700,000 residents have received their first vaccine, fully vaccinated. And today, the CDC announced that those fully vaccinated can travel with low risk.
As COVID vaccines become more widely available, some are worried that it may become mandatory. But the state Senate is working to pass a bill to prevent just that. Lawmakers passed a bill this week that would prevent employers from forcing their workers to get some vaccinated. Some changes were made that would let some employees make the shot mandatory, but only if you work in healthcare. And with more people getting vaccinated, some people are experiencing more serious side effects than others. This leaves some people confused about what to expect with the shot. Our Riley Biller spoke to healthcare experts to get answers.
The COVID vaccines have become prioritized across the world. As of today, over 99 million people in the U.S. have received at least one dose of the vaccine. One of the most common fears are the side effects. Brittany Valdero, a second-year pharmacy student and works full-time at Medicine Mart of Lexington, explains some of those side effects and what they mean.
Well, first of all, if you're getting side effects from a vaccine, that's a fantastic thing. So side effects from a vaccine show that it's working. Now, that doesn't go to say that if you don't have side effects, it's not working for you.
The Center of Disease Control and Prevention Center analyzed the data of the COVID-19 vaccinations. What they found was 79% of women experienced side effects, but only 60% of women were administered the vaccine. So is it true that women experience more side effects?
Plentiful answer is no. CDC, FDA, they're watching that. The only reason we have that data is whenever you get the vaccine and people go in and they fill out the survey. One of the theories that I think is probably a pretty good one is that younger women are the ones that are most likely to fill out that survey.
Kennedy Hawkins, who works at Riverside Regional Medical Center and a recent graduate of the University of South Carolina, got her vaccine and felt the effects.
With arm soreness was definitely one. And I was one of those random people that got nauseous. The first time it wasn't bad at all, but in the second time I had to go home. It was kind of not great. I have seen even just across the board that people say that the second shot brings out more side effects. And not only that, but the second shot brings out, it's like exacerbating the first side effects that you had for the first one.
Valdero said the side effects come down to one simple fact.
Some people naturally to the virus fight it off better than others. And so it makes sense that with the vaccine, it's going to be the exact same way.
I'm Riley Biller for Carolina News.
To learn more about the side effects and how to prepare for them, you can visit cdc.com.
University of South Carolina students are calling on the university to take action against faculty accused of sexual misconduct. Students organized a protest today on campus. They ended outside the president's house on the Horseshoe. Those in attendance said USC isn't doing enough to support survivors and is protecting faculty accused.
What do we want? I'm hoping that this brings a change and holds these people still employed by this university accountable for their actions.
The university president has called for a review of the school's Title IX process. Students say the school still isn't going far enough.
After a year of dealing with the pandemic, restaurants across South Carolina are short-staffed. The state's Restaurant Association says the state is short about 5,000 workers. The owner of the Village Idiot says that he's reduced at his hours because of the shortage. He says they're short about 20 workers.
Essentially, for the last month, anybody that's come in and applied has gotten hired. Our interview process is almost, are you legally allowed to work in the U.S.?
The Restaurant Association thinks the extended unemployment benefits are keeping people from looking for work, something that could change in the next few months.
Governor McMaster is trying to bring more medical manufacturing jobs to the state. McMaster signed an executive order yesterday directing state agencies to focus on medicine and healthcare supply production. The governor hopes that this will bring more manufacturers to South Carolina. This would prevent supply chain issues that the state saw during the pandemic.
As McMaster tries to create jobs locally, the U.S. is coming off one of its best job months since the pandemic started. The Labor Department reported this morning that 916,000 jobs were created in March. That's more than double what the country saw in February and the most since August. Unemployment also dropped to 6%, with some sectors reaching pre-COVID levels.
After a year of virtual learning, your kids might be headed back to school soon. What actions lawmakers are trying to take to fully reopen schools?